All right, I want to welcome on my next guest. We've got a very special guest. We've got Ravens legend, all-time rushing leader, Tennessee Volunteers legend, Super Bowl champion, and one of the 8 members of the NFL's 2000 rushing yard club. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest running backs of all time, Mr. Jamal Lewis. Jamal, is everything going for you?
Hey, glad to be here. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how's everything going for you? Still crazy year, COVID's still going on. How you guys managing? How's everything been?
Everything's good, man. I think everything's changed. So I think that's happened with everybody around the country and around the world too, right? But a lot of adjusting and getting through it and dealing with the kids and adjusting our schedules and everything. So I think it just slowed everybody down. But think it's a bad situation, but you got to make a good out of a bad. And I think just being around the kids and hanging and being able to get some stuff done, it's all good.
Yeah, and so we just wrapped up the NFL season. Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl. I don't think anybody saw that coming. What were your thoughts on the season as a whole, the Super Bowl and with the Ravens?
Never would have thought that Tom Brady would be in the Super Bowl with the Bucks, but at the same time, that's Tom Brady, right? And he proved all of us what type of leader and what type of champion he really is, and what type of player he is. So glad for that. But it was a crazy season, man. The Ravens, my team, they kind of fell short, but it did get to the playoffs, whatever. But I don't think we just had the firepower to really make it happen. But I think we're rebuilding and adding some good pieces to the puzzle. And I'm sure Ozzie Newsome won't let us down.
Do you think they still need a number one receiver, or do you think that guy's already on the roster?
I think they do need a number one receiver. They need a real number one receiver. Somebody that's got the height and got the speed that can open it up and go get it, and be a good target out there down the field. I think we got everything covered, in the intermediate area. Of course, in the running back position, I think we got that covered. But just if we can probably make a few additions to that offensive line and yeah, a big time, big playmaker wide receiver, which I think that should be somebody maybe a free agent versus a draft pick, but we'll see. There are some good kids in the draft.
What are your thoughts on J.K. Dobbins after his first year?
Oh man, I think he had a good year. I think he had a good year. I think he balled, man. I think good team, the right team to be with. You want to run the ball, and they had a great backfield, but I think he carried the load pretty well.
And the one other current Ravens question I want to ask you. So your former teammate, T. Martin, joined the coaching staff. What were your thoughts on that? What do you think he could bring to the team?
Oh yeah, man, that was a good addition. I think it's good to see him move up, from the college ranks. I think he's got a lot of experience in that area, and he knows the position. I think there's less recruiting for him now, so he's probably happy about that. But I think that's a good organization. Actually, Oz Newsome, he's from Alabama as well. So, and he went to Alabama, so he's big on Alabama. So I'm really not surprised that he actually bought TN, since he's a Mobile boy. So, but I think he's happy. I have spoken with him since then or whatever, and it's a good place for him to be. I think good coaching staff and a great organization. With Steve Bisciotti and Dick Cass, president, and everybody there.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about your career a little bit. How did you end up at Tennessee?
How did I end up at Tennessee? Well, my first choice was Nebraska. Then visited LSU. I visited Texas. Well, I didn't visit Texas. LSU, Nebraska, Tennessee, and Michigan. But Tennessee was, I think Peyton was he's still there. He had just, I think on my visit, the next day he had just announced that he was staying for his, staying another year and was going to be there. So it was just a great fit. Jay Graham had just left. So the opportunity was there. The opportunity to be able to go in and play right away, or at least compete for the starting job, was there. So felt like it was a good fit.
I think I saw an interview you did. You said that David Cutcliffe kind of like instilled with you kind of like more of a work ethic. It kind of said, "Hey, why don't you see what Peyton's doing?" Was that how'd that work out?
Oh yeah. That was basically with Cutcliffe. Cutcliffe was a real good offense coordinator. I was under him, but I can just recall that day in practice as a freshman, and he told me that I would never play for him, and I was like, why? And then he said, you're not you're not a practice player. And he said, if you want to see what a practice player looked like and what I'm talking about, look at number 16 tomorrow at practice. And you watch Peyton, he's just firing it off. And like everything is 100% game speed and just everything serious. And I think since that day, it's been, in practice, took it a little more serious and just gave more effort in practice and just knowing hey, look, you never know, who's watching. And hey, you gotta go out there and give your all, to prepare, better. And that was it.
What's your favorite story about Peyton from you guys, the year you guys spent together there?
My favorite story that I tell about Peyton is when he came to my room in training camp, but camp 2 days. And I knocked on the door and I just thought it was a prank or whatever, but he came in and he basically said, you want to really play or you want to start, and he said, if you want to play, you're going to have to protect me. So he wrote down all of these. I wish I had them today, but he wrote down all of these plays and protections that we ran. And I ran all this stuff in high school too. So it was just funny. But I just, it was going to run his course anyway, right? But he said, you got to know these plays. And we went down them and everything. And then he said, hey, look, if you can know these plays, if you can run these and know them and protect me, he said, I promise you'll be starting by the 4th game of the season. And I didn't know it, but that was after the Florida game. So usually that's when you get your break anyway. But I ended up, starting, after that game. So it worked out.
So what do you remember about the 97, the SEC championship against Auburn?
Against Auburn, 1997 SEC championship. Taquille Spikes. They had a great defense. The quarterback, Damian Craig, I think, was it? I think Damian Craig was the quarterback at the time. I want to say it. But yeah, they had a lot of talent. They were supposed to be there. But it was a tough game. It wasn't easy. But hey, we made it happen. We got through it in my hometown. So it was good to be here.
That's awesome. I have a question. What was your draft process like? Did you know Baltimore was looking at you?
No, I didn't really. Well, I did know Baltimore needed a running back when I came out, but there was probably 10 teams that needed running backs at the time. I think I want to say maybe close to five guys went, in the first round to early second round, but I didn't know, but I kind of had a little, I don't know, I had a feeling that but they didn't really show me a lot of attention because I guess, in the draft process, it's more of a, you don't want to show your hand, right? Especially when you got other teams needing that same position. And if they would have shown their hand, then maybe somebody else would have took me. But they had the 5th pick in the draft, and I didn't know they had a 5th and a 10th pick. So I didn't know if I would go as high as I did, but I knew they had 2 spots. So that was 2 chances. But Arizona, I think they were needing a running back at the time. It was the Giants and one other team. But they were all in the first round early. So, but the Ravens end up taking me. And after that, coach, he told me, he said, we wanted you the whole time. So it was a good feeling. But yeah, a lot of guys. Ron Dane was in that class. Thomas Jones, the kid from Seattle Seahawks with Alabama. He was Alexander. Yep, he was in that class. J.R. Redmond. So it was a lot of running backs, in that class. So good to be in that good group.
Did I see that when you came to Baltimore right after you were drafted, that was the first time you ever been to the city?
Oh yeah. I had never really been to the Northeast, period. That was a experience, but it was a good place. Baltimore is a good place. Good seafood, I think it's a good part of the country. It gets cold, but not as cold as Cleveland was actually. But it was a good place, good fans. But most of all, it was the organization. So, I was there for a job. I was there to work. So it really wasn't about the city more than it was more about, hey, go in and get it done and do your job. So I lived out in Old Court area, Liberty.
Okay, yeah.
I lived closer to the new facility now.
Okay.
So I was right there. So it wasn't too much going on
No.
out that way, right?
No.
So I was kind of confined, and it was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have a question. What was your favorite kind of low key food spot to go either in Baltimore or around the Old Court Owings Mills area that like even like when you visit more recently, like you always make sure to stop by?
Go to Jimmy's, Jimmy's seafood. See Jim Harbaugh just did a big thing there the other day. He bought everybody's dinner, which is nice. But yeah, I that was Jimmy's, and I went to there's another restaurant downtown, man,
Oh, I know you're
Captain
talking about.
James.
Yeah,
Captain
yeah, yeah, right on the
James.
water.
The boat right there on the corner, right there on the
Yeah,
water. Yeah.
yeah,
So
that's
yeah, I used to go
awesome.
there a lot. I used to go there a lot too. But it's a nice place. They got different little pockets, right? Like you
Yeah,
got the square, and you got Fells Point,
yeah.
which is blown up and it's a real nice area now, right? But yeah, I like it. I like it. It's a good place to go and hang out.
Remember ESPN Zone? Throwback.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, right. It's good. It's
Whatever
right there
happened to
on the
that?
yeah, right
Yeah,
there on the water, right there. I used to love that place. It was all
yeah.
right place.
Is it Phillips over there and Hard Rock? Everything over there now. They got yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I don't really go over there too much now, but it's a lot of stuff down there. Their
yeah.
buildings. They really
That's
got
awesome.
their harbor looking nice.
That's awesome. What was your kind of like getting to training camp first time? What was your kind of first experience with that? Was that a relatively easy for you, or was it a little bit of a difficult process, kind of getting adjusted to the pro game?
No, it really wasn't that. It really wasn't that hard to get adjusted to when you went in. Especially coming from Tennessee. It's big time football, big program. So you're going into another big organization now versus a program, right? And being with Steve Bisciotti, who was the minority owner at the time when I went in. But what shoot, the Ozzie Newsome, being there or whatever, being that he brought us in, Ray Lewis, Saragusa, you had a lot of big veterans there, right? Rod Woodson and Shannon Sharp, a lot of these guys were there. So it was really a good makeup of a team, a championship caliber team, right? Because you had that mix of youth and experience, and he had the new ball coach who had been there for a couple of years, in Billick, who was pretty much a good coach, took care of us. Art Modell
Yeah,
as the
yeah,
owner at the time, his family owned the organization at the time, and he was just a great owner, great person, knew how to take care of his players and his team. And but it wasn't that hard to really get adjusted. The on-field stuff wasn't that hard. Plays. It never was hard to really grasp plays. It wasn't that difficult. Really. Luckily, it wasn't that difficult because we had Tony Banks at the time, so we didn't have a really big open playbook. At the time, so it's pretty vanilla, but it got it done. So. But it was a fun time going in that rookie year. It was different, being in a place that I've never been before.
yeah.
But hey, as long as we was playing football, I was good.
So I reached out. I reached out a couple days ago to Quadra Ismail, who I've had on the show before, and I said, "Hey, I'm interviewing Jamal Lewis in a couple days. Do you have any funny stories I should ask him about?" And he said, "Bring up." He said, "Bring up rookie hazing and Ruth Chris." What do you remember about that?
Oh, rookie hazing. Oh my God. Like just everybody used to go to Ruth Chris because that was the most expensive place almost in town, right? So when you take rookies in there, it's like, hey man, you got, they're ordering all kind of champagne and especially as a first rounder, they really want to get deep in your pockets. But you have guys just showing up out of nowhere because they know it's the rookies paying or taking up the tab. So it was just period. We have our running back, rookie hazing, and then they had wide receivers had their own thing or whatever. But it was just the craziest thing when you would have that and guys would like order like shots of Louis to Louis, like just high end stuff, and then that tab comes, it's like $15,000. It's like, no, this is not right, right? So a lot of that went on, and that happened pretty much with all of us across the board, in our groups. But that was happy I only had to do that once.
Yeah, I would go up to the waitress and say, "Hey, separate checks. Just remember."
Yeah, right.
I don't think that's
Good
gonna. No,
good luck.
not gonna. Ain't gonna happen.
Right.
Who? So fast forward to I want to fast forward to Super Bowl. I was talking to Quadri. What did you feel during the game? Like, all right, like this is gonna be a walk in the park. Like, it's not a contest.
We knew our defense. We knew what they could bring to the table, right? We knew that it was going to be hard to move the ball on them. But, as offense, we had to do our job. We had to do what we needed to do. But when we went out and Dilfer hit the wide receiver across the middle for the touchdown, I think that it was like wow, because we weren't used to just throwing passes for touchdowns, right? So and that happened so quick. But when that happened, we just kind of knew that we had a lead. With the defense we had, if we had a lead, it was going to be, it was going to be tough because they weren't going to let too many plays get by. But it ended up, getting down to it because we didn't continuously score, but we maintained the clock, possession, time possession, and it was, we maintained our time possession and everything, and they just couldn't catch up. But when that happened, and I think they ran the kickoff back, right? And we came back and ran. Jamal Lewis ran the kickoff back and put us right back up. We just knew it was over. It was over. It was our day.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. They beat Randall Cunningham and the Vikings to get to the Super Bowl.
They did what now?
They beat the Vikings in the NFC Championship. Yeah, did they beat the Vikings?
I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know. I know. I don't know. I don't know. But I just know that they were real good. In the NFC. They were real good. They kind of matched up, right? They had a great defense. They did have a great defense. But I don't know. Collins and I think it just. I don't know. The AFC, man, is strong. I just have to. I'm biased, but it's strong, so it's hard.
Pretty sure the new Dolphins coach was on that Giants team, Dan Campbell.
Really? I don't know.
I was looking at that. I didn't even know. And then I wanted to fast forward to 03, best season of your career. So I was reaching out to some Ravens fans because obviously everybody's remember. So in the game, you had 295 against Cleveland.
Yep, against the Browns.
So 295. You broke Corey Dillon's single game rushing record. There was a holding penalty that cost you 60 yards, which all right, that would have put you towards the end of the game close to 350, already kind of leaving that single game rushing record out of reach. And then if you would have added that on at the end of the season, you would have broken Eric Dickerson's rushing record. Have you ever reached out to Eric Dickerson or Adrian Peterson, who has since surpassed you, to say like, hey, like you're lucky they threw that flag?
Oh yeah, we talked about it. We talked about that just because of how short I was, but they actually played a prank on him about that actual play because they know it was questionable. And I think after that game, because they go back through all the stats. They go through all the stats. And just make sure that penalties didn't take stats from certain guys, whatever. And they actually told Eric Dickerson that I had that they had took that holding penalty back, and it was off. So therefore, the numbers ended up being added back to my stats, and he was just flipped. They said he just flipped, and they told him that they was just joking, but he was worried, man. He was worried. It's hard to give up that top spot. I don't think anybody ever break that number.
Unbelievable. That's fun. They should have let it get maybe 3 days later, told them, hey, we're just kidding.
Yeah, right.
Let it kick in a little bit. Yeah, that would have been fantastic. What player that you played against, like the defender, would you least want to get hit by again?
I think that would be Sean Taylor, man. Sean Taylor, he was a great player. He was a great player. He would have went on to do some big things, but man, he was a hard hitter. Even as a rookie, he was a hard hitter. I can remember coming through the hole, and he just came and just smacked me, and I was just like, "Who was that?" And it was like, "That's Sean Taylor." And I was like, "The rookie?" And it was like, "Yeah." And so, but he had a hard head, and he was a good player. But I think him and just one more would be Warren Sapp. I would think Warren Sapp was a pretty interesting and vicious player on the D line.
Do you think you got snubbed for MVP that year?
Did I?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I got snubbed for MVP, man. I think that you had Peyton Manning, who threw for who knows how many touchdowns, and then you had Steve McNair, same thing, threw for a bunch of yards. So I think since they had to share it, like they should have gave it to somebody. And so I think that's the only reason I should have got it. But they shared it, you know what I mean? Like I was like, really, you're gonna share it, you know? So, but it was all right. Those are two great players, man. May he rest in peace, and Peyton keep continuing doing what he's doing. But good guys, and good class to be in. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. Which of the running backs in the league today do you think kind of mirror your game the most?
Some would probably say the Derrick Henry, but I would say, man, I don't really know, man. I don't really know. That's a good thing not to know because nobody just stands out, right?
Yeah.
It makes you a little different. But I don't know. But Derrick Henry probably the most, but I think I might be just a little bit more elusive. I don't know.
What about Nick Chubb on the Browns?
That's a good one. Chubb, yeah. Chubb moved about like I moved, I think. He's about that size. He's put on some speed, man. Like I don't know if after that knee injury, you know, he kind of needed a little time to, but it seemed like he just got in the rhythm and his first step, man, he could go. So that's a good one. That's a good one. He's a Georgia boy.
Yeah, I can't believe he came back from that knee injury. It was one of the worst I've ever seen, but he's doing fantastic.
Right.
What was that rivalry with the Steelers like? What was it like as a starting running back?
The Steelers, man, that was just one of those games where you knew you had to pack your lunch, you knew you had to lace your boots up, and it was going to be a dogfight all single day, all day, right? So it was that was a great rivalry, man. I missed that rivalry. That's one of some of the games that you always remember because they're like your nemesis and they know all your weaknesses, and you play them twice a week, and the fans hate each other, and it's just one of those great rivalries that I think could be around for a long time. But just physical. That was just a physical ball game.
Awesome. That's awesome. I wanted to ask you, somebody asked me, and I think it was a dumb question, figured I'd ask you, did you, Jermaine, and Ray ever have like a Lewis meeting?
What about Marvin? You left Marvin out of that.
Oh, I've heard that wow.
You left Marvin Lewis out of that.
Yeah.
But no, man, we didn't have a Lewis meeting. But we had to have a meeting about who was going to get the actual last name. I think Ray, he got Lewis. And then Jermaine had J.E. and I had J.A. So, you know, but Ray was the man. So he got to keep the full last name.
When you were matching up with Peyton and the Colts, was there always kind of like an added rivalry since you guys played together in Knoxville?
No, not really, no. But man, it was always good playing against him. You know, seeing him work and hoping that we would get the better end of the stick. But I think that happened a couple of times. But that was a good game. We played them in the playoffs a few times, you know, a couple of times actually, I think. And you know, you always want to beat one of your old teammates. You know?
So what was it like when you got inducted into the Ravens Ring of Honor?
Oh, it was cool. It was cool. It rained that day, but it was good to
in
get
Baltimore.
Recognized.
Rain?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. It was good to get recognized. You know, in front of the fans and everything at a game. My family was there and everything, so it was pretty cool to get your name put up in the Raptors up there. It was it's cool. It's cool to go see it now, and people send me pictures when they go to a game. You know, like, hey. But it's a good thing to be recognized. Luckily, it was a new franchise, and it's good to be a part of that history. And I'm like one of the old guys, you know, now. So, and we got a Super Bowl. So the first Super Bowl we brought to Baltimore. So that's they always remember you, you know.
NFL draft's coming up in a month and a half. Are there any guys in the Vols people should keep an eye on?
Oh man, I don't know, our year, we had a very bad year, right? So honestly, I don't really know. I think they did have a big D lineman or I forgot. I don't really keep up that much, you know, what's going on. We've had a string of bad years, you know, so I got a sour taste in my mouth, but it's all good. But no, I haven't really kept up with those guys.
Oh, cool.
I don't know who's coming out.
And then I wanted to ask you, so Buyer Connected, your company, how did it kind of come together? What can you talk about a little bit what you guys do and how people can find you guys and check you guys out?
Basically, man, we started up, about 5, 6 years ago. Basically, do installations and fixtures for big box retail companies. So anything from a standpoint of store resets or rollouts or any display needs or transportation, solutions that's needed within the retail, supply chain or whatever. That's basically what we do. So, basically a solutions-based company. We're based here in Atlanta, Georgia. We have, pretty nice sized clients that we do work for, and have a workforce of, pretty much over 1,000 guys around the country that we work with and put guys to work and everything. So pretty good deal. But our website is Buyer Connected, BUYER connected.com. Like I said, we're based here in Atlanta. Everything you need to know is there on LinkedIn. You can find us there too. And yeah. And our CEO is Rob Cutie, I think, who you reached out to and who you've met. But yeah, we're doing some good things, man. It's been a tough year, but it's been, a good year putting guys to work and doing our part, in the economy and everything too. So it's good. It's good. It's been a good one, I must say.
That's awesome. And then I want to ask you, so how can people find you on social media, keep up with you and keep up with everything you're doing?
Oh, my Instagram is Jamal31 Lewis. My Facebook is Jamal Lewis 31. LinkedIn, you can find me there or whatever. But yeah, that's where I'll be socially.
Cool. Well, this has been a blast. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk for a few minutes. Can't wait for next season because I'm getting tired. Like, there are people like, oh, baseball's coming back. I'm not watching baseball. We need football coming back.